Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Marissa Kozlov. It's great to have you with us for today's eMarketer Tech Talk, where we host guests from all areas of media, ad tech, and martech. Today, we'll be taking a first look at tvScientific's 2026 State of Performance TV report, including the forces reshaping 2026 media mixes and what these changes mean for performance, brand strategy, measurement, and real world media planning. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about this. And first, I want to introduce you to my three great guests I have with me. First, we have Matthew Osler, Director of Strategic Partnerships, who is coming from Cornerstone Media and joining us today from Minneapolis. Matt, nice to see you.
Hi, Marissa. It's a pleasure to be here.
Really nice to have you here. We also have Iran Dunsky, Head of Product for North America from Appsflyer in San Francisco today. Iran, how's it going?
Hi, Marissa. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Nice to have you here. And finally, we have Emily Duncan, Marketing Manager for tvScientific, who is joining us from Seattle. Hey, Emily.
I'm Marissa, excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have all of you here. And I also want to mention that for all of you in our audience, we are thrilled to have you here as well. And I just want to remind you that we would love to hear from you throughout the duration of today's show and keep it interactive with us. You can use the chat window on the right to tell us where you're joining from. You can ask questions and you can also engage with your peers. So Matt, Emily, and Iran have a great discussion planned for you today. But first, Emily, I'm going to pass it to you to help set the stage.
Thanks, Marissa, and hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we'll be diving into the 2026 trends shaping advertising strategy and what they mean for marketers right now. I'm excited to be joined by my two expert CTV panelists, Iran and Matt. They'll be sharing what they're seeing in the market, how they're thinking about these trends, and their best advice for marketers planning for 2026. We'll also be sharing the latest findings from tvScientific's State of Performance TV report, which is our annual research report based on insights from 600 plus marketers across both brands and agencies. So here's what we're going to be diving into today. So first, the attention crisis and what's changing with consumer behavior, how marketers are then adjusting budgets and strategy, the role of AI in turning attention into outcomes, and then the collapse of the brand versus performance TV divide, and then finally, the push for radical transparency. So let's get started with what's shifting as we head into 2026. So if there's one thing we've probably all felt as marketers, it's that attention has never been harder to earn. People are spread across more screens, more formats, and more platforms than really ever before. And that is what marketers are really feeling the most right now in the data. It's this fight for attention. And in our report, we found that 73% of marketers are struggling to find high quality customers. And that's a pain point that has really nearly doubled since 2025 when it just stood at 45%. And 63% say it's harder than ever to stand out on social. And 65% say that AI-driven search like Google AI Overview, ChatGPT search make visibility even harder. So I'll pause here and turn it over to our panel. So Matt, let's get started with you. What do you think has changed about customer behavior in the past year to surface these trends?
Yeah, I think like what you were saying, I think the reason high quality customers feel harder to find is that they're more fragmented, more distracted, and they're also more kind of in control than ever before. So in a single hour, people live across a mesh of different experiences. They might be scrolling social in 1 minute, watching short form video in another, playing a video game, uh, asking a question in AI chat, and then flipping on the big screen TV. So I think none of that really is brand new, but I think the speed and the intensity in which people are switching between these environments and the number of environments that they have to switch between keeps increasing. So I think really as a result, what you're seeing is that attention is thinner and it's more volatile. Most people, I would say, are not in market when they see your ad. So really, any single exposure is likely to not be remembered. What I would say is you can't really rely on one channel or even one touch to carry that load anymore. So us as marketers, I think in this kind of new reality, quality is really less about finding one perfect placement or a network or a program, and it's more about consistently showing up kind of where your customers are, where they actually spend time, and you want to be there long enough that they remember you when they're ready to buy. So, you know, also to that, there's this kind of hard performance reality where every extra impression has this cost. And at some point, more frequency um, stops increasing your odds of conversion and really starts kind of eroding your efficiency. So I think a smart play would be to treat attention and recall as direct inputs to your acquisition costs, not just fluffy brand metrics. And in addition to that, designing creative to really earn attention quickly with a clear outcome in mind, whether that's a site visit, a lead, a sale, a phone call, and then really making sure you manage that exposure with intent. So that means using frequency caps, separation of spots, really so that you're present, but not everywhere all the time. You kind of want that smart consistency instead of constant bombardment, enough touches to stay top of mind, but not so many that your performance collapses.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all great points. Especially, I think, your point on fragmentation is such a huge, huge reason why marketers, like you said, are feeling that fight for attention. And when attention is this scarce, marketers start looking for environments where attention is harder to skip and easier to hold, which is why we're seeing such a huge move towards performance TV, like you said, which actually leads me to one of our biggest findings. So, for the first time ever, performance TV came out as the #1 channel that marketers are prioritizing for media spend, followed by social and then mobile apps. And then the second biggest finding here is that performance TV and social were actually neck and neck as the most effective channels. They both landed at about 25%, which is a really big signal because social has owned, that performance crown for so long. And other channels not shown here, but were included in the rankings were linear TV, audio, podcast, search, and more. But this is really where the investments were the most concentrated. So then the question, becomes, okay, well, where is this budget coming from? And we saw that 58% are pulling budget from YouTube to performance TV, 56% from Meta, and then 52% from TikTok. So with that, I'll bring it back to our panel. Iran, for marketers adjusting their mix in 2026, how should they think about using performance TV alongside search and social to drive stronger results?
So the way I see it, performance TV works with search and social, not instead of them. TV creates demand and search and social capture it. As Matt mentioned, the user's kind of consumption experience has become much more dynamic, much more fragmented, and this is where measurement becomes critical. You have to measure CTV holistically alongside your other channels and not in a silo. MTA and last touch are critical for ongoing optimization, but you also have to leverage additional measurement frameworks. Specifically, incrementality comes to mind to measure the true impact of CTV as a performance channel.
Yeah, I love that framing that TV creates demand, but then search and social captures it. And then without the measurement piece, like you said, you're just really flying blind. And, additionally, the data also showed that performance TV's leading in media spend. So, Matt, back to you from your vantage point. What's driving marketers to shift more media spend into performance TV in 2026?
Yeah, I say, looking at that data, I think it makes sense to me really that media spend is shifting more into TV because I think it finally combines what TV has always done best, really, with what performance marketers now need most. First, if you look at it, there's still nothing like TV for reach. And I think if you take linear plus streaming, it really gives you the ability to get in front of a large, diverse audience quickly, which is critical when most people, again, are not in market the moment they see your ad. I think that broad kind of efficient reach becomes the foundation that makes all of our other performance channels kind of work harder. And then second, I think TV is just a stronger attention environment than a lot of really what we see on that kind of feed-based web. Uh, it's a bigger screen, it has fewer distractions, and in many cases, I would say a less skippable, kind of less cluttered ad experience. And I don't think that really means that people are glued to every single frame, but I think what it does mean is that the average impression has more time on screen and a better shot at kind of driving recall than a thumbs up social ad. Uh, and then I would say third, TV really amplifies digital. Now, I might be biased because we're from a TV background, but I believe a lot of that kind of efficient conversion that we talk about in search and social is actually being driven upstream by TV. So, we hear it all the time, at least from our clients, who say that really when they add performance TV, it increases their branded search, it raises click-through rates and conversion rates in digital, and it drives really incremental site traffic that wouldn't exist without that kind of TV exposure. So really, we value TV both for the demand that it creates, but also for that halo effect it has on everything downstream. And so I would say from my vantage point, at least, that shift into performance TV is being driven really by that kind of combination of where you've got that TV level reach and attention, and that more concrete ability to lift digital performance.
Definitely. I think that's such a great way to think about TV's contribution beyond just that last click. And, a big reason why performance TV can play this role is also what's happening with AI and experimentation. So I think we can go there next. So what we're also seeing in the data is that AI is basically removing that friction that used to slow the TV campaign process down. So, you can get more creative, more variations, faster learning without those same bottlenecks. And so when we ask marketers how they're using AI specifically in performance TV today, the top uses are one, audience targeting and optimization, two, creative generation, and then lastly, accelerating creative testing. So what's also really interesting is how experimentation is changing as well in 2026. So 47% plan to expand to new performance objectives. 44% will use TV for brand and performance, and then 40% will test new audience segments. So marketers aren't just testing TV to see if it works, they're really testing to expand what TV can do for them. So, Iran, where are you seeing marketers use AI in performance TV today? And where do you see AI having the biggest impact on improving TV campaign effectiveness in 2026?
So there are two main ways where we see AI coming into play. First of all, with AI, the creative blocker is pretty much eliminated. We're seeing clients run 10x more creative tests than they did in 2023, but they're also leveraging this for better creatives and integrating their creative performance data into the creative generation and ideation feedback loop. So understanding what is driving performance from the specific creative, what are the elements, what are the hooks, what are the tags, and leveraging the insight that you can extract with scale with AI into your creative generation process as well. And when you think about the targeting capabilities that you can reach with CTV, you can also take this to the next level and generate very personalized creatives at scale, which is very, very unique for this specific screen. The other aspect is measurement. Of course, CTV is still finding its right currency, I would say, to measure its impact. And it's difficult. But by leveraging tools like MCP and diving deeper into the data, you can uncover insights that used to require custom analysis or a built-in data science team or marketing science team, enabling marketers to be very more self-sufficient in how they approach understanding the performance of CTV can be a game changer for marketers.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great points. How AI is changing not only the workflow, but it's changing the optimization side, the measurement side. And the data is also showing it's changing how marketers think about TV's role in the funnel completely. So in 2026, we're seeing both brand and performance. They're no longer necessarily separate categories, but that performance TV is now doing both. So on the performance side, the confidence is really high. So 67% of marketers said performance TV helped them hit their 2025 revenue goals, and now 90% expect to deliver it again in 2026, which is a huge number. And it's not just driving revenue, it's driving brand impact too. So 65% of marketers report an increased brand awareness. And then on the flip side, 64% of marketers say that sales increased after adding performance TV to their channel mix. So we're really seeing TV act like a full funnel channel. So when we asked why performance TV is working for marketers, a few reasons stood out. One was access to attentive, engaged viewers. Two, scalability across audiences and platforms. Ability to connect TV spend to measurable outcomes. Precise audience targeting. And then lastly, built-in optimization for campaign performance. So TV has really officially, I would say, evolved into a channel that can deliver both brand impact and measurable performance. So Matt, from your perspective, what does this shift mean for the future of how marketers think about TV's role in the media mix?
Yeah, absolutely. Being in that kind of performance marketing industry for almost 20 years, we've been using response-based metrics really for a while. Putting URLs in 800 numbers on spots for measurement. Though, outside of like a unique phone number, that measurability has been limited and more, I would say, directional than concrete. So I think what is starting to change is that precision and that level kind of accountability that we expect from TV. I think today's like technology that we're talking about here now kind of connects on-screen exposure to real outcomes with way more accuracy than we've ever had before. So I think TV is evolving really from, hey, we'll run this ad and probably see some lift to, like you said just a minute ago, to a more data-rich full funnel channel. So I think from my perspective, that real mind shift isn't that marketers suddenly discovered performance metrics for TV, but it's that instead of saying, again, we ran in these programs, marketers can ask which audiences did we reach, at what frequency, and what incremental conversions, revenue, and ROAS did that create without TV in the mix. So I think that's changed how TV shows up in the media mix. It stops being a discretionary brand line item that gets cut when budgets tighten and instead becomes part of that performance engine. And I think you can really use TV to build demand at scale and prove how that demand then translates to real business outcomes in the same way that you can measure search and social. And so I think when you can do that, shifting budgets into TV becomes a lot easier. You really, not because it's good branding, but really because it's a working piece of your customer acquisition strategy.
Absolutely. Well said. It seems like, yeah, there's just such this new opportunity and new playbook for marketers now. And with that, marketers also, they want results that they can trust, as well on the measurement side, which brings us to our next major shift. So the data is telling us a very clear story here. It's that marketers, they don't just want numbers, they want numbers they can actually defend, especially when performance TV is sitting alongside other channels like social and search. So in fact, 56% of marketers say that a lack of transparency in performance TV reporting is one of their biggest risks to their team's success. So that's huge because it tells us measurement isn't just a nice to have, it's basically a make or break factor. And marketers aren't just measuring TV in a vacuum anymore. 84% of marketers reported that social media is their most important channel to integrate with performance TV measurement, followed by search at 42% and then display at 34%. So the expectation is that TV really has to fit inside this bigger measurement story now. And when it comes to measuring performance TV, alongside everything else, the biggest challenges are pretty familiar. So, lack of consistent measurement, limited tools, privacy regulations, difficulty in proving incrementality, and then siloed data. So, marketers clearly feel the impact when measurement is fragmented or unclear. So, Iran, as TV moves into this more measurable, outcomes-driven era, what's your advice for marketers trying to connect TV results with the bigger picture across channels?
Yeah, I think it's amazing that the challenges that you see are also the same challenges that we see as well. So it'll be two main things. First of all, it's going to be tech stack. Make sure that your tech stack is set up in the best way to support your CTV efforts. Are you able to measure CTV's impact across the platforms that your users interact with your brand, whether that's web or mobile? You have to have the data streams connected. You cannot have the siloed data streams exactly as your study shows. And you also have to have a persistent identifier across the platforms so you can tie the user behavior. Then finally, identify the best ways to make the most out of your first party data and finding the best ways to enrich it with third party data sources for more and better activation strategies. Um, Once you have that locked in, which is not an easy task, of course, the next step is understanding how you adapt your measurement methodology for CTV. Understand what KPIs you want to measure. Marketers like to talk about outcomes, but historically, these outcomes have been kind of soft. We're starting to see more and more brand marketers come to Appsflyer and say, hey, you are the experts in measuring performance. Teach me as a brand marketer, what should I be looking at? My board is starting to hold me accountable to see how brand marketing is impacting performance. So tie real performance KPIs such as CAC and LTV to the CTV channels, but also understand that these will be different numbers compared to what you might be used to seeing from more direct response type channels. So look at how these KPIs change when you kind of examine the synergies between channels and not just as siloed channels. As with many channels, even more so in CTV, I truly believe that 1 + 1 = 3 when you look at everything together.
Yeah, absolutely. And within that, like you said, trust in those results that you're seeing is everything now as well. So that leads me to one final shift that the data makes really clear is who gets to compete on TV is changing. So what we found is that TV is more accessible than ever. It's no longer just for the biggest brands with the biggest budgets. In fact, 77% of small to mid-sized businesses surveyed are currently running or have previously run performance TV advertising campaigns. And then on the flip side, one of the biggest myths that are still holding people back is cost. So 38% of marketers who chose not to run performance TV ads in the past 12 to 18 months cited cost as the primary barrier to entry. So other options were, it wasn't due to lack of creative resources, not due to difficulty measuring outcomes. It was just this perception of cost. So, with TV becoming more accessible now to everyone and the media mix evolving so quickly, there's a lot of new opportunities for marketers in 2026. So, with that, I'd love to ask you both, when you look across all these trends shaping the year ahead that we covered today, which ones are you most excited about, and how do you see it influencing your strategy or approach in 2026? Matt, we can start with you.
Yeah, sure. I'm just going to reiterate what Arman already touched on, but I do think it's really important when we're talking about AI, certainly for our side, we're really excited to see how AI continues to evolve in ad creatives. Um, no knock on creative agencies at all, but we're excited to really see it as not only a more kind of cost-effective measure, but for us as in the performance space, I think we really are excited to see how we can test more ideas faster, with different offers, different hooks and CTAs, which I think lets us, learn which combinations actually convert better. I mean, this is very much so like a digital conversation I feel like we're having. But, you know, prior to AI kind of coming into that creative space, I think you could see it take 3 to 6 months and a sizable budget on one or two big bets that may or may not pan out. So I think that's a really exciting thing. And I think, you just even touched on that. I think it's going to open up more opportunity for small to medium-sized businesses to get into this space, to get into TV and start testing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that outlook. Iran, what about you?
Since Matt covered AI, I guess I'll geek out on measurement again, right? I think one thing that is clear is that omni-channel engagement is becoming the default behavior as users are seamlessly moving between web, mobile, and CTV. I think success depends on understanding these cross-device loops rather than just looking again at everything in isolation. Users' decisions, your end users' decisions, span across multiple touch points in every journey that they have. But we also know that mobile holds around 60 to 80% of users' activities. So we're seeing more and more advertising putting efforts in maximizing the value from users in this screen, where they're always logged in, they have a precision identifier that they can leverage, but also investing a lot more into tying this surface to all the other touch points that they have. I kind of see 2026 as the year where silos between marketing teams will be broken, whether that's web, mobile, CRM, and lifecycle teams. And ROAS will not be measured siloed on a specific channel or strategy, but rather a lot more holistically across the customer journey, wherever that end user captures the value that the brand provides.
Totally. I think many marketers would jump on that and agree with you there. Well, thank you both. This has been such a great conversation. If you want the full data and insights, you can download the Complete State of Performance TV report. And if you want to see how Performance TV can work for your brand, you can book a demo with the tvScientific team. So with that, I'll pass it back to Marissa to open up for a Q&A for our two panelists before we wrap up.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Emily, Aran, Matt. That was a fantastic conversation. And I especially really liked your outlooks on 2026 around AI measurement. Those are great themes as we think about all of the content that you shared today. And even as we think back to the beginning, I mean, I found your comments around the fragmented attention between environments and the move towards performance TV really interesting. And in thinking about how that works with search and social and also TV's contribution beyond the last click and improving campaign effectiveness. You covered so much today around performance TV and really brought that all together with your guidance on how to think about all of that in 2026. So thank you for sharing all of that with us. And I also want to thank our audience because you've been very involved in our chat. So let's get right to the Q&A. And there's still time to submit questions, so keep it coming. All right, are you all ready for the Q&A? All right, I see some head nodding. All right, Matt, the first question is for you. Our viewer says, we've never run CTV before. Do you have any advice for brands who are just getting started?
Yeah, sure. I think it's first probably much like in any campaign you're starting. I think it's important to make sure you define what success looks like. So is it driving awareness? Is it to drive site traffic? Is it to generate conversions? I think second, I would suggest to start out really simple and not overcomplicate your plan with hyper-targeted controls, micro segments, etc. I know our agency, we prefer to be more of like a program agnostic. Instead, we build more around audiences rather than networks or programs. So especially when we're really focused on efficiency, and that's our main priority. So I think when you kind of start broad, and then it allows you to kind of narrow as performance data kind of comes in, and where you can then tweak and refine to lower your cost per conversions or whatever those KPI metrics you're trying to achieve. And again, just to touch on what I mentioned earlier, I'd recommend focusing on that reach and frequency while making sure to kind of manage that frequency uh, with responsibility to avoid overexposure, really that leads to wasted spend. Um, I think one of the fastest ways to sour your first experience in CTV would probably be to hammer that same household over and over again. And then third, to us, CTV is still TV. So making sure your creative has a story to tell with a clear signal on what viewers should do next. Um, I really think that you should be explaining that value proposition within the first, few seconds with a clear kind of call to action.
Okay, well, let's actually take it a step further. Matt, how much budget do you realistically need to test CTV and learn something meaningful? So after you get started, how much budget do you think somebody would need?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's this, uh, I wouldn't say that there's this universal rule on budget. I think so much depends on your audience size and really like what defines the audience you want to reach. I feel like a more probably practical approach would be to work backward from your target audience and CPMs really to ensure that you hit that desired weekly reach and frequency for at least 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And then you can scale that budget up or down depending on your audience size and really that how sensitive your KPI targets are.
All right.
I know that's kind of skirting around the exact number, but that's probably how we go about it.
All right. Well, thank you for the frame of reference.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Iran and Emily, I think during one of your back and forths, one of you had a great quote. You talked about how TV creates demand and search and social captures it. So, Iran, how do marketers see this in the data specifically?
So first and foremost, I urge kind of marketers to run incrementality tests. So set up a cell with CTV only and set up a cell with CTV and social. That will give you, the gold standard of proof that this is how it works together. But then you can also look at the more kind of ready data sets that you have and understand what were the previous touch points from a kind of MTA analysis into the conversion that maybe was driven eventually on social or search. That'll be one thing. And also look at the time maybe between the touch points. So if you had a CTV impression, but then a minute or two later you had a conversion that came from search and social, maybe it's just the fact that it was the last touch and that's what captured the conversion, and you need to rethink about how you are understanding what really drove the conversion.
Okay, thank you. Matt, you talked about AI a few times as a part of today's conversation. How will the rise of agentic commerce and AI agents impact advertising?
Oh, wait, sorry. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, of course. How will the rise of agentic commerce and AI agents impact advertising?
Honestly, that is not really a space that we're in at the moment. So, I mean, I don't necessarily want to speak out of context or really get into what we expected to see. I think we're just kind of we're probably taking more of a backseat approach where we will kind of want to see where it goes before we make any assumptions to where that will, where it will go. Yeah, I would almost put a pin in it and I would say, let's see where AI goes. I feel like honestly, every day you look at it, it's changing. So yeah, that's where we don't want to be the first, in the race. We kind of want to stay more in the middle of the pack and see how people finish first, and then we'll come to some conclusions.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. All right. Iran, you talked a lot about measurement. So this next question is for you. Can you talk about attribution developments across omni-channel strategies? The challenge of accurately measuring view-through conversions across channel has been consistent for years.
Yeah, so definitely think about what are the right attribution look-back windows that you need to have in place to account for the user journey as they are exposed to CTV ads and convert on either web or mobile. That is one element of it. Understand from the different CTV partners that you're working with when you have access to log level impression data to enrich your MTA models as well. Understand when the conversion, when you're relying on self-reported metrics by the different partners, when they are modeled, when it's a more of a deterministic match, so that you can take that into consideration as you are approaching into understanding the different results. So those would be kind of my main three ways to approach it, alongside, of course, incrementality, which I will continue to be a big advocate of.
All right. Thank you for that. I have another follow-up question on measurement as well. How does CTV plug into a duplicated measurement framework?
Deduplicate it. That's what I always say, right? Make sure that you have a single source of truth for your measurement data. Flow the CTV impressions into where you're making your performance marketing decisions, and break down the silos. It's easier said than done, but we're helping marketers day in and day out achieve that.
Okay. And Matt or Iran, either one of you, do you have a sense for what our audience should think about in terms of what KPIs are most appropriate to be keeping an eye out on?
Mine will be CAC, LTV, and ROAS, but with the current caveat that it's going to look different from a more direct response channel. You're going to have to understand the halo effect and the synergies that exist with these channels. So start off with that, and then kind of fine tune what these real KPIs mean from a CTV perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a good point to say that you kind of have to take a different perspective on what those KPIs are than maybe some of your other performance channels. Also keeping in mind that there is that level of incrementality that we always have to look at. But we're still, from our standpoint on performance, we want to look as far down the funnel as we can, and it also depends on kind of what vertical you're in or what what industry you're in. But as far down that funnel we can is really where we're measuring. At the end of the day, although we do use site visit, we are looking at other kind of top funnel metrics, but really more as guidance. But at the end of the day, I think it's really about sales and driving revenue.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing those KPIs. We had another question come in on ROAS specifically, so I'll ask that one now. Our viewer wants to know, how do you build a tech stack to measure ROAS across these fragmented channels such as social, programmatic search, and all of the different walled gardens?
So it starts off with making sure that you are capturing your internal user identifier across the different platforms that user engage with your brand. That's one aspect of it. Another aspect is integrating all the signals, all the impressions and clicks across the different platforms that you're working on into a single data stream that can run your attribution logic on top of it. Ideally last touch, just because it makes things easier with sending back signals to partners, whether that's through CAPIs or through kind of a measurement platform like Appsflyer. So those are the main starting points. Make sure you have a strong measurement partner in place. Make sure that you're getting all the signals from the CTV partners and all the other programmatic and open web partners that you have as well. And then have a customer user ID that you can identify users no matter where they engage with your brand.
Okay, thank you. And earlier in the conversation today, I remember you talking about brand versus performance. So our next viewer says, do you think creative data can guide brand creative as well as performance creative? Matt, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I do think you have kind of different ways you go about creative, whether you're doing brand or you're doing performance. I think again, we tend to take this approach that you can achieve brand, all your brand goals within a performance focused creative. So you can get your brand really, you can kind of get your brand out there with the ability to also include very direct, outcome-based messaging. So, I certainly would say you're able to do that, but I think you can kind of do both within the same creative at this point, really. And especially when you're looking at the how you're able to measure on that kind of back end, I think it's really important that you do have this kind of performance-driven um, message within your creative.
Okay, thank you for speaking to both of those sides. Iran, how should teams think about attribution for CTV if conversions happen later on mobile or on the web?
So I think we covered this throughout the conversation. Effectively understanding what is the logged in user on the one hand, making sure that you're getting the right signals on the impressions and clicks as well, and defining the correct attribution windows is also key to this. Users will either convert on web or mobile. Sometimes this is more of a probabilistic match. Sometimes with the capabilities of different walled gardens, this can be more of a deterministic match. And then kind of deduplicating it all within your measurement partner is key to understand how this happens from CTV engagement to web and app conversion.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we are going to take one more question today. Emily, we're going to bring you into the mix here because we have a question that came up specifically about the report. How should marketers interpret performance TV in the context of this report? And when marketers rank this as their top channel for spend, is that net new budget or is that reallocated budget?
Yeah, great question. So at tvScientific and in context of this survey and report, we define performance TV as combining the power of both TV advertising, but with the precision of digital. So it's really just TV is like a true performance channel. So what that really means in practice is you can easily launch on both connected TV and linear TV ad campaigns, but then you can optimize for your goals and then measure those actual outcomes. And for the second part of the question, when marketers ranked this as their top channel for spend, it was a majority of reallocated budget that came back. So the top three that I covered earlier were, from YouTube, from Meta, from TikTok, but other options in the survey were reallocated budget from we had display, search, linear TV, and we also had the option of brand new budget, but those weren't near notably as high as the other three.
All right. Well, thank you for explaining that to our audience. And Emily, Iran, Matt, I just want to say again, thank you. This was so wonderful to be with all of you today. Such great content within the report and within the content that you shared. And we really appreciate you answering all of those questions from our audience. It was great to see all of you today.
I appreciate it, Marissa.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Marissa. Appreciate it.
Of course. And just a quick reminder for our audience, tvScientific's the 2026 State of Performance TV full report is available in the Resources tab to the right of the video player. Before we close, I'm just going to take a moment to tell you about eMarketer's media channels. Mark your calendars for eMarketer's first virtual summit of 2026. That's happening on Friday, February 13th. You can join us for Creator Trends featuring principal analyst Max Willens, senior analyst Minda Smiley, and our leaders from Gap, Stanley 1913, Dick's Sporting Goods, and more. It's going to be great. I highly recommend signing up for that. You can also secure your spot for that, register for more webinars like this one, and also preview our 2026 summit lineup all at emarketer.com. For more eMarketer content, subscribe to our newsletters and also check out our podcasts, including Behind the Numbers, Reimagining Retail, and the Banking and Payments Show on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you all for joining us today. And thanks again to Emily, Iran, Matt, the team at tvScientific, and our eMarketer studio team, who's behind the scenes, for making this webinar possible. We'll see you all on the next Tech Talk.